Hello, Izzy Nally here, and talking about how to rewire for happiness, for success, for abundance. Abundance is not only a state of being, a state of life, something to have, but also it is a feeling, it is a mindset, it is an energy. And when we're rewiring for that, it is so incredibly important to first recognize where you are on that spectrum of being in complete survival, in being into a space of abundance, or sometimes it's like collective love. There can be lots of feelings for that. And I was listening to an audiobook yesterday. It was talking about um, millionaire manifestation and not necessarily manifesting $1 million, but that concept of what's the mindset and the manifestation techniques that millionaires, or maybe we should say billionaires now, are taking and doing. And he was going into such beautiful neuroscience, but also quantum physics and metaphysics, and talking about how these worlds really are starting to merge a little more, where quantum physics is getting a little bit more spiritual and the spiritual metaphysics is getting more scientific, because we're starting to be able to connect those dots more. And one technique that has been present for a very long time, one meditation style, is called metta meditation. And I actually taught this, we framed the whole yoga class, and then we did a whole yoga therapy session as well around this particular meditation. And I often recommend this to clients all the time. So often, most of the time, I'm recommending this because there is science to support it, because it's been around for a while. It's what is it? MBSR, mindfulness based stress reduction. It's a meditation that's often used within that. So it's being measured as far as the success of it goes. And we'll touch on what that is and how it works here in a moment. But to rewire ourselves for happiness, another one of those key things that I say things, but one of those key quantifiable aspects and tasks that you can do to change your brain fairly quickly is getting into a state of gratitude. And there's some beautiful YouTube videos that I remember watching in school when I was doing my undergrad and doing this as part of a certification there, that as we're getting into a state of gratitude, how that starts to shift our thinking, and it also shifts our energy. Playfulness is also another one of those big things that really does, it starts to shape the mind. So playfulness and play, and you can probably feel it when you've been in that state before, where you're not tense, you're not overthinking when you're playing, right? And there's been research that's showing things like Alzheimer's and dementia, like this constant rigidity that can happen in life. It does affect the neuroplasticity of the mind. So literally what's flexible, right? And this flow state and all of these things are helping the brain. So from a neuroscience perspective, when we do certain things, it is programming us for more happiness. So one thing that we can do is to create a habit of practicing gratitude. So that might be one thing that we would teach a lot in the meditation program that I taught for years, was listing 3 things you're grateful for every night before you go to bed, and then reading those when you wake up in the morning. And also trying not to just write the same thing every day, but the goal is that it starts to get you into and shift you into this state where all day you start to now look for things where you're like, oh gosh, what am I going to write on my log tonight? And you're starting to look for those things. And as you're doing that, it's shifting you into more of that optimistic, seeing the glass half full rather than half empty. And we begin to look for and find these beautiful moments within our life, right? So So that's one key aspect. Clarity is super important when it comes to success. Having a mission behind what you do, which means you need to know your values. And I say that because I think I've been to so many different workshops, and they've gone over like the list out your values, like circle your core values, and I feel like that's still missing so much. Like, it's a great quick exercise, but often we leave there not remembering the next week even what we circled, right? I've definitely done that tons of times. Like, someone's like, "Oh, what's your top core values?" And I'm like, I mean, knowledge, respect, authenticity, but like, how much have you really sat with each one of those in like your top core values and then formed that into a mission statement? Normally it's in deeper programs that will do things like that, or if you've ever been to a program where like they've spent more time and someone helped you like draft that out and things along that nature. I recommend people do that regardless if they're a professional, an entrepreneur, a business owner, whatever it might be. I think that's super, super important to do. And it is really challenging to do by yourself without a particular like prompt set. But even then, it can still be really challenging. It's so beautiful to like sit and have someone listen to you. And as they listen, to be able to help you formulate and put that into words and reflect that back to you. I think that's one of the beauties of coaching and business coaching when it's done well. So when we're looking at rewiring for happiness, creating new habits and patterns that'll help shift your mind into happiness, but it's not just the mind. And one of those aspects too is looking at what are you tolerating in your life, because your life is going to be literally the lowest level of what you're tolerating. It's not going to be like, well, this is what I'm willing to tolerate, but my life's up here. Like, that rarely happens. And that's because our brain is always working to survive. Like, it is working to survive. And how we get ourselves out of just surviving, and I use that word just very intentionally because a lot of times we will use that word just. And I will say that's probably one of the biggest shifts that really truly happen when I work with clients, is getting them out of the just surviving mindset. A lot of times when people come to the program, or just for the one-on-one hypnotherapy package, when they're working with me, what will end up happening is I'm like, so what do you want life to look like? And they start telling me what they don't want it to look like. And I'm like, okay, that's not abundance mindset. Abundance mindset is allowing you to think big, to think lovely, you'll feel it in your nervous system of like, oh man, that life, right? Like peace, freedom, happiness, like just in love with life. And when we're thinking like, I just don't want to be like this, or like, these are just the things I keep doing, and this is just how it's always been. And again, I hear that word just a lot. That I'm like, okay, your nervous system is in survival. So that first session that we do together is to get your system out of just survival, so that then we can look at what's possible. And it opens up this door that we can now say, okay, this is what's been going on, but what do you want life to look like? What are we going to feed your brain with that rewiring, that subconscious rewiring? And with the hypnotherapy package, it's one package per issue. Now, sometimes 2 or 3 things might end up happening in that process because they're all linked together, but really it's one core problem for one core solution. When we work together in either the happiness breakthrough or the business breakthrough, the happiness breakthrough is more just for your personal life and you, versus the business breakthrough is really where we're working on all of the like life meets business and business meets life. And we're looking at the clarity We're looking at the happiness habits. We're looking at what limitations and areas are we stuck, because yes, we can do that work and we can identify them. But if we want to accelerate that process, which when it comes to business, acceleration means more money. Like the faster you get over that stuckness, the faster you're going to be making more money. So yes, we can look at our problems and we can see like, oh, this core area, right? Like taxes right now are for me, right? Anybody else in this boat? Like, I'm like, oh, I keep another week just keeps passing by and I haven't gotten those taxes done yet. And there's an emotional aspect of that, right? There's some subconscious beliefs. And so that might be something that someone wants to work on, is going like, I'm noticing this pattern every single year. And it's like, I could have gotten that done and I would have felt so much more relief had I gotten it done. And I'm using that as an example because I feel like a lot of people have that. But if you keep looking at the patterns that are showing up in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, every season I'm complaining about the same thing. And if you're not being reflective, you might not notice it. And reflective meaning that can be journaling, that can be talking. There's lots of different ways to reflect. But when that same thing keeps coming up over and over, the things I also need you to notice, and these are things that we would work on together, is looking at how long are you beating yourself up about that? How long are you carrying this added weight, this added discomfort, because you keep thinking about that thing that you need to do? And that itself could be a pattern, or it could be just there's this particular thing that you keep avoiding. And the relief people get after being able to do that thing, or that thing is no longer carrying as much weight with it, frees them up, creates freedom literally, because it frees them up to daydream. It is really, really challenging to daydream when you are in survival. Like those things are virtually incompatible because if you're surviving, you are not in daydream mindset. So that's again why we have to work with the nervous system first to say, like, we need the nervous system to relax. We need to be out of survival from there, because your body, your heart particularly, but your body is sending signals up to the brain. A lot of times we learn, well, the brain's sending signals down to your body, and when you change your mindset, you change everything. But what about those times? And again, I'm working on my PhD. I've got like 9 pages right now just on what is internal chaos. Internal chaos is like when the whole system, the loop is just negative, negative, negative. So we take that moment to reset the nervous system so that it's signaling up to the brain that it's safe now to think. It's safe to think in a more expansive way. So, oh, there's a hummingbird at my window. I was like, whoa. So it allows us to then daydream. So reset the nervous system, reset the mind, because it's really hard to reset the mind, meaning planting seeds in non-fertile soil, right? So this is your soil, and the chemicals in your brain are your soil, and your body's sending chemicals up to the brain. So we're taking in information, right? If you're a scroller, you're getting dopamine hits. The dopamine's feeding the brain. So you might get some creative ideas. You might feel really good while you're scrolling. And then you stop scrolling and then you forgot what you were scrolling about and the creative idea was gone. Things like that. So keeping in mind that your body is a holistic system, including the mind. So when we're rewiring, it's not just rewiring the mind, but it's also rewiring your full autonomic nervous system, your reactions, getting you to be able to respond rather than react, programming your mind and body for what you want it to do, how you want it to behave, what you want it to think, what you want it to receive, what you want it to give, all of that. And so again, there's 2 ways to do that. We can look at rewiring for happiness, or we can look at the business breakthrough, which is where we're rewiring for happiness, but we're also rewiring for success. And both of those definitely are touching on abundance. So I love to hear your thoughts, what feels true for you. what feels like you're really needing. And if you'd like to have that conversation of, is this a good fit for me? Or can you paint a picture for me of like, what's the return on investment? What is this? What's really costing me right now? Because maybe you feel it, but you don't fully understand it. And if you're ready for some change, but you're still hesitant, you're still on the fence, or if you're ready for change and you're ready to get started, just comment below. So change will be the key word here. Change and free call. I'm never pushy on sales. It's literally like, this is it. Is that something you want to hear more about? Yes or no? Very permission-based sales. So that way you feel comfortable, because I understand it might be something that you need to digest for a little longer. It might be something that you're ready to jump on right now. And you're in, like, we're all in a different stage of change. And I'm not going to try to get you to jump from I'm not sure to a hell yes, when some people are more at that, like, I'm on the fence, like I'm almost there. I just need a little extra reassurance. And wherever you are on that cycle, like, I want to make sure you have the information, whether you're working with me or not. But having that information is part of my mission, in education and making sure that people have resources. So I hope to talk to you soon. I'll see you later.